call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Can I get a motion to approve the public hearing for presentation of the budget meeting agenda?
So moved. Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have presentation of the budget.
Basically, having talked about it at the first meeting and having talked through it workshop, I guess I just asked if you guys have any further questions.
I don't really have further questions, but is there anything that people asked last time that we could respond to? That we haven't responded? I think we've approached most everyone.
The four things I think were stated. One was regarding sped deficit, which essentially it's hard to budget for sped deficit. You don't really know. I think the other...
We don't want to over budget for that because then we're taxing heavier.
The first question was, and I actually had no answer for it, is you had land in several districts and why the amount went up about the same. My response was, I only do it for ours. I can't really speak for the other districts. I think the last one just questioned the taxes. The third one was regarding the asbestos, and he was just wondering the approximate amount of that. And I have actually spoke with him personally on that, so I did address that one personally.
I question, so we have a 2026 budget, a re-estimated 2025, is that correct? That's after a few changes?
Right. What's illustrated on there is what we're budgeting for 26, what the actual was on 24, and then the 25 is our best estimate where we're going to end up this year.
At June 30th this year, right?
Yep.
Is this a little bit different than what was presented last week as far as the organization of it?
Sure. Yeah. This form that you see here, actually you guys did get a copy of this. You did get a copy of this, but we actually presented a lot of other different information with it. You guys did get a copy of this.
Yeah. We had a real good meeting about this, but I'd like to compliment the administration because this actually makes some sense. It's laid out pretty nice. It seems to me anyway.
They actually make this pretty simple because this is what actually does get published in the paper.
Yeah. And we're at least I'm pretty simple-minded board member, so I need that crutch so things make sense. They seem like they're laid out pretty well, I think. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Anyone else have anything you question, present? Can I get oh wait, we're not going to motion. We have no comments from the public, so can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, we will move on to our second public hearing. I will call that meeting to order. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have presentation of the amended budget for fiscal year 2025.
This is pretty simple stuff, and I think we did touch on this at our workshop too. But there are 4 lines within a budget, the expenditures of a budget that you have to hit your marks on. We did amend ours this year, and I'll go through them line by line, obviously. The first one is instruction, and the reasoning for the amending the budget there is, I'll talk to the second one first, but when we originally filed this, the 2025 budget would have been in the March-April timeframe of last year. After that legislation was approved by the Iowa legislature, where they actually, I know the word, gave districts additional TSS money because they passed legislation requiring every school to have a beginning salary, and then I think after 12 years, they had to, so every district got additional funds to cover that, and also to cover what they called salary compaction. And to describe salary compaction is if you get somebody that starts at 47.5, and you've got somebody that's been working for 4 or 5 years, and you've all of a sudden, you brought that person up real close to that. So what we were able to do with the additional funds that were left over is we were able to use that for salary compaction and give everybody additional TSS to make that up. So that's probably roughly half of those dollars, and then the other half of it is we received, Jenny, you're going to have to rattle off the grants because I'm not sure I can, but we had 2 or 3 grants, and I think they added up to $360,000.
Yeah, they're all mostly STEM, the STEM grants, the CDL machine, or the CDL grant, that was close to 150,000.
And to be honest with you, I've got those, assuming we'll spend them all this year, but we don't know that. It's kind of a timing issue. I can't really say, well, I think we might, so I put them in there, and I've also made allowances for them next year, because you really don't know when they're going to happen.
So these funds, these funds have come in, so we're raising our budget, but it really isn't lowering our,
It's not changing anything.
it's not changing our ending balance at the end of the year.
It's not changing our end balance. What ends up happening is the only thing you're held to the task on is expenditures, not revenues. And that's the reason the only thing you're going to see in this is your revenue or your expenditures.
So you're shifting
But the
that
fund
back
balance,
to,
essentially the fund balance.
But we receive the revenue so that we can increase our expenditures.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's instruction. The support services, that is the asbestos removal that we have, or we think we're going to be right at this year. Non-instructional is our nutrition fund. And we didn't feel like we had to put anything extra in there. And then the last one is construction timing differences. That's the other expenditures. And again, we try to hit that as close as we can. We just don't know. And it appears we're going to be quite a ways towards the end of the pay apps. If I had to pick an exact amount, I don't think I could, but we're going to be close to the end of our pay apps at the end of this fiscal year. There'll be some carryover.
So we're ahead of schedule, basically, of what you were anticipating.
That's what that would signify.
Less rain, more work gets done early on in the
Yeah.
project.
And they're actually starting to do some of the finish work around the build,
Yeah, I see that.
the groundwork. I noticed that the other day. And they were laying
carpet today.
laying carpet in the park.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
That always makes things look nice.
Very good.
And I did peek my head in over at the high school, and they're far enough on the west side of the building to where now the carpenters, they're kind of on a standstill because they're running the wires and the electricity and stuff. I would guess they're getting close on that to where they can start doing some finish work. The team rooms, the door was locked the other day, so I couldn't tell, but I do know there's walls and they got the plumbing all in.
Excellent.
That was kind of off subject with the budget amendment, sorry.
We'll be okay with that. Anyone have any further questions on anything for the budget amendment? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Seconded?
Wait,
All in favor?
who said so moved? Was that you, Roger? Okay, thank you, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. And we are on our third meeting already. We're really rolling. All right. I'll call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. There's no one here to speak. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved?
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll move on to the discussion items and the superintendent report.
We received $20,000 more in STEM grants this last week, so that will do some things in the summer with us. So a student-led help desk, so we've hired two. Actually, I think we were supposed to hire two, but there were three that interviewed that they said were really good. So I think they're hiring all three and just giving them the total amount of hours and splitting it between three for students to help with technology this summer. So that's exciting. SWITA, so getting students who might have had transportation as a barrier, getting them to and from businesses to do some job shadowing, which there's career exploration days built in there as well. And we got 2 different sets of robots for the elementary. So we're going to approve or talk about the AEA contract that we have, and they used to have media resources that we could use like a library. They lend back and forth to us, and we now get those funds instead of the AEA. So we're using some of those funds to buy different STEM products, but the robots we just got with this grant. So another grant from Kylie that she did a great job. So that's my news. That's all I got.
Okay. Do we have any facility committee updates?
I think just what Brian was talking about, there isn't, we're at the tail end now, so, and we do have a change order that we'll talk about in a little bit for the locker rooms, that we hit a plumbing issue, but otherwise, I mean, I think we're on track to be ready to roll beginning of August.
Excellent.
One thing I do want to announce is if you want to watch, we're going to have a last call down the hall for the elementary, or for the intermediate building. So we're going to have it's a Wednesday evening, and you can go one more time down the hall. And then hopefully we'll be able to take people into the new elementary building too, and they can see at least as much as is done. But so watch for that on social media. That'll be coming out soon. And if you have specific people that you think we should invite personally, please let me know, that maybe former teachers. We do have a list going now, but if you know of anybody, that'd be great.
Do we have any student accolades?
We don't have the principals here tonight, so yeah, next time.
All right. I think our seniors will have graduated before we meet again.
Oh,
So they're going to miss out on accolades. All right, action items, personnel report.
Hi.
Catherine?
Contracts were due in April 7th. And as you can see, we had a few more resignations. And we're currently, we've got some interviews set up for this week. Matt Polson, we had a number of resumes in for middle school band, so we have 4 interviews set up for this week.
Great.
Yep, so
Excellent.
that's good. We have an elementary teacher, and you can see down underneath, Mitchell Ruschenberg accepted that position. We are looking, if you can go down just a little bit
further.
more.
Sorry.
Yep, our certified staff openings that we're hiring for Spanish, preschool, language arts, middle school band, and elementary special education at this time. So we continue to set up those interviews and interview, and hopefully next
So you
month.
do have applicants for most of all those?
Spanish is a hard one.
Yep,
Okay.
Spanish and special education
And
are
special
both
ed.
hard.
Okay.
But we're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, well, that's it. Anyone have any questions about any of those? Fantastic.
Questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the personnel report?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Approval of fiscal year 2026 budget.
So this is just basically you guys saying, yes, go ahead and submit it to the Department of Management. It's just you giving me the authority to move forward.
I think we've gone over it thoroughly.
I'll move
There we go.
for the budget.
Sure.
Get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And now the approval of the budget guarantee.
Okay, we did talk about this a little bit at the workshop we had. What a budget guarantee is when you have declining enrollment, and they don't give you a lot of what we call allowable growth, or the percentage is fairly low. What this is I describe it, I don't know, probably not a very good description, but basically what it is, it's a pillow that they allow you for 1 year so you don't lose that whole funding, so you actually, they give you kind of a 1-year mulligan on it. I know it's a poor description, I always use it, a pill, it just stops your fall a little bit.
And your funding is always a year behind.
Yeah.
So even if our enrollment would go up or even out, we'd still be behind the next year and then come back up.
Is this the first year that?
We have done this for a few years, Jim. You know, I've done this, I think, 16 years now, and we've probably had it 6-7 times.
I see.
We've had a few years where we've had a little bit of up enrollment. There's a few years where the allowable growth was enough to kind of offset it. But this year, we had a drop, and the allowable growth is not high this year, so the two have to work together to make it
So
work.
this,
I don't know that
the
we've had
student
it for
supplemental
like 2 or
aid,
3
the
years.
allowable growth was low, so 2%. So then we chose to do this. If it would have been a little higher, it might have covered what we needed.
So this is the
Does that
one-time
make-
funding of 32,441
Yep.
for this year, then that'll,
It goes
gonna
away.
disappear
It
next year.
Yeah.
disappears. And then
Did you
hope get
you
more
look
students.
next year, is the
And this
enrollment will be
does
better,
have to
or
be-
is it going to be
I
continuing?
mean,
per
yeah,
bank.
I think
Hard to
each
say.
year, it is hard
Okay.
to say, and 70% of districts in Iowa lost enrollment.
So whoever
Oh,
moves
that's
needs to
interesting.
read that.
Okay.
Did you all hear that? That's a
Oh.
good comment.
70% of districts in Iowa lost enrollment of some type. So I just,
What do you attribute that to?
well, just people living in Iowa, there's not as many people living in Iowa either. So the census has gone down a little bit too.
And those that are living in Iowa are living in cities more and more,
Yep,
making bigger schools
more-
bigger and smaller schools smaller.
it's more on the rural end, for sure.
There are some urban schools that are down this year.
That's true.
Does that have anything to do with the voucher system and going to the private
I'm sure it
schools?
does, I'm sure it does to some degree.
It's not helping.
Yeah, it's not helping.
Any further questions? Can I get a motion to approve the budget guarantee?
So moved?
Oh,
You-
you gotta
oh,
read
you-
that,
you
Jim.
have
Oh,
to-
gotta read that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. What does it say? Okay, resolved, oh, thank you, that the Board of Directors of Harlan Community School District will levy property taxes for fiscal year 2025, 2026 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under section 257.14 Code of Iowa.
Do we have to say this too, the fiscal year?
Fiscal year 2026 regular program budget adjustment. 32,441.
32,000.
Okay, I need a dollar sign.
Yeah.
I get a second on that.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are approval of the amended budget for fiscal year 2025.
And again, this is just you giving me the authority to move forward with this and submit it.
Move to approve the amended budget for fiscal year 2025 as presented by Brian.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of issuance number 2, baiting change order number 5.
So I will explain a little bit of this. So the issue was that there are existing water fountains that are installed outside of the shower room walls, and they were set up incorrectly to drain directly into the shower floor. So once this was discussed with the state and everyone. We're not allowed to maintain that. It's not up to code. And so the solution is that we're going to remove more of the floor in the locker rooms and then allow them to tie the drain directly into the second to the school sanitary system. And then this change would also include the concrete that we have to pour back to finish the floor. And it was all underneath the floor, so no one really knew until they got down there. There will also be a second change order that's going to come with this because Camlin has to give us their tie-ins from different plans, so. Tried to explain that in Friday's notes, but I didn't, wasn't sure how, I mean, it was one of those things that you found after you dug some stuff up.
Is there a square foot or anything as far as, or, let's see, this for specific area, is it boys and girls, locker rooms, or
This one's just in the boys.
just in the boys?
So the design, Jim, the design intent was to remove a 2-inch strip from the center of the floor and install a new drain. The problem was that the water fountains installed on the walls just outside of the showers, and they drain through the shower floor, so different drain.
They don't drain.
They don't.
They just empty onto the floor.
Yeah.
Well, if they emptied on the floor, you'd think they would have known that it wouldn't be. You know,
You
that was
would
one of
look
my,
for
that
it.
was one of my questions is, should
Yeah.
the mechanical
Should they have caught
engineer
it?
have noticed that in the beginning? I mean, if they're emptying on the floor, somebody could have caught it earlier. I mean, you might as well
You could say that,
recognize
but that's
that.
one of those things that as a construction guy, you would never be expecting. That's just,
And so would you go ahead, were you explaining the area where, this is the boys' locker room?
Yep. I don't have this specific area.
Yeah, really a change order should give square footage, you know, cubic feet, some kind of a direction so you could walk up and say, yeah, I know this is a 10 foot by 10 foot, or is it 10 by 150? A good change order should give you some reference to the
imagine they're cutting
area.
out about that wide
Is that what they're
to
doing?
the
They're
drain,
carrying
so
out?
then they can just run PVC
Yeah.
under the floor.
But you know, it's not good enough just to have an idea. A change order should really have a specifics. I mean,
Maybe even something
Exactly
drawn
what's
out
being
to
done.
scale.
what's that?
And I'm-
Something drawn out. you know,
Yeah, that would work,
that would
sure.
work.
So
But that, it isn't a
want
huge
me to
change
get-
order.
I can get that for you, Jim. I can ask. I'll just ask.
It's just the
So you want
sloppy
the square
change
footage?
orders, you know, one of the ones I saw said temp units, and it was $50,000. It's like, you know, a description like that just isn't good enough. It needs to, you need to be able to walk in there and say, oh, I can see this is 10 by 10, or, you know, 2 foot by 30 foot, or something in this certain area.
Yeah.
That's,
Without more information, I would say I was a little surprised by the labor cost tied to this. I could understand the material cost, but the labor cost seemed, again, I don't have enough information to know if that's, makes sense or not.
yeah, I thought of that, but we don't have any reference, so.
Can you scroll down on that?
I don't know, how many days' work is it?
That
Is
was
it
one
a
line though.
Yeah, yep.
The
2-day
labor
job,
cost is
or,
76
you know,
or
10
75.
hours? Or,
And maybe that's a, you know, a team of 6 for a day is what it's gonna take, I don't know. but-
Do you want me to ask more questions?
Do we need to
It's gonna, yeah.
approve this to move forward?
So my other question is, if we don't move forward, what are we stopping?
We're
Yeah.
stopping,
For $12,000.
yeah, we're stopping,
yeah.
Right.
we're stopping a lot until, and we probably have to have another special board meeting, I guess, if you want to do
I've done
this.
this for a
What's
living.
that?
I've done this for a living.
I can definitely
Sure.
find the answers
Can we go down
for
a
you.
lot of
He's
dollars.
on vacation.
I sent
Josh.
a text to Josh.
Oh, okay, Josh.
Can we put this later on in the order?
You want
I'll
to
call him
move
now.
forward
See if
with the
Josh
meeting,
can
we
get
can
it.
come back to
Okay.
this?
Yeah.
Table it.
Mr. President, I move to table the change order discussion until later in the meeting.
All right.
Second that.
All in favor of tabling it till later since we...
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll table that. And we are going to approval of the school-based interventionist contract with GHAEA.
So this is something that we've had for the last 3 years. It's an annual contract. We get a full-time person for $45,000, and they work with our at-risk with attendance and do really good things. We also get part of a say in who this person is, so we get to help hire them, so it's not like they're just giving us somebody. Last year, it has been Brenda Renter at one point, and then she was hired on in the district with a different position, and now it's Sharon Whitson, and she got hired on in a different position as the middle school counselor.
Okay.
So we've had good people, and so then this one, there is someone internally who's done their internship, who's doing their internship right now that hopefully we can hire on as well. So it's a good service and piece for us for the amount of money. That's very reasonable for a full-time person. And that includes all their benefits and everything too. It's part of a grant with the juvenile court system.
And who is the GH?
Green Hills AEA.
Okay.
Yep,
I
yep,
knew,
yep.
should have known.
They're just the holder of the contract, but it's really with the juvenile court system.
And this is part of the things not changing so much that they're still.
Yes, this
involved
is
in
this has always been separate. Yep, yep.
Any other questions?
Whose authority do they operate under while they're on site? Are they under your leadership or?
Yes, but they also have, so then Steve McPhillips, this gentleman right here, is the supervisor of all of the SBIs in the AEA.
Okay.
But definitely or Casey and Bill, honestly, the two principals,
Okay.
if needed.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
I will make the motion to approve the school-based interventionist contract.
Get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of vehicle purchases from Keist.
Brian, you want?
Yeah, I do. So we, in our budget for next year, we're going to have to purchase I better give a little background. We have a janitorial pickup, which to say it's on its last leg is probably an understatement. You couldn't drive it to Denison to take it to salvage yard, it's that bad. So that was actually in the plans to purchase for next year. Also, we have 2 cars that we use for sped, for coaches and stuff. The old Malibus, and they've both got, one's got 235 and I think one's got 240 on it. So the plans were to purchase 2 tracks. You can't get Malibus or Impalas anymore. What they're replacing them with is what they call a tracks. It's smaller type SUV, I call it a mini SUV essentially. So what I don't know, it's 6 cents or what, but we started talking about these. I woke up one morning and it said, news said tariffs, so we actually started talking real strongly the next couple of days. We were able on the pickup, we were able to get actually 4 vehicle bids. And you can see them on there, I won't read them to you, but the one we would like to purchase is the 2025 Chevy Silverado from Keist Auto. They are local, they also had the low bid. So that's what we would like to do there. The tracks were a little trickier. The state fleet was full. So getting them is a little bit tougher. We were able to actually locate two at Keast. The price is, I think, $100, within $100 or $150 of the one we purchased last fall. They are going to be difficult to find, unless you want to go a long ways away. And we don't buy them with a lot of bells and whistles on it, and it's hard to find the ones without bells and whistles. But they were able, the purchase of each of these would be $22,790, and if my math is correct, it's $105 more than the one we bought last fall. They were willing to do this, as I said, you guys have to understand, this is for next year's budget, and they are willing to get them on the lot, get them ordered, get them made, and they'll hold them till the 1st of July. So we would like to buy 2 tracks and they are in the planned budget for next year.
I'd like to say I appreciate your research. You're always so thorough when you get into these things, Brian. I appreciate it.
You know, the vehicles, you kind of have to look around a little bit, but sometimes they're just not there.
Yeah.
Actually, to locate 4 pickups, kind of like we wanted, I was amazed. There's 2 in Des Moines and 2 here.
Any other questions about the vehicles? Can I get a motion to approve this purchase?
I'll move to approve the purchase of the vehicles.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next up is D9VJH.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
Dang it. I had to switch screens and it messed
Someone lost your
me
screen.
up.
Next up for approval is the milk bids.
Okay. Let's go.
We have to go out for bid every so often for milk, and we sent bids to 4 organizations and only got 2 back. We currently use Anderson Erickson, and they were our low bid, and we are very happy with their services, so we'd like to recommend that we continue using Anderson Erickson. And this year, we have to use less milk, or less sugars, and so they're changing their formulas to help with that as well, in the flavored milk. Which is less sugar, less salt. So,
Can I get a motion to approve the milk bid from Anderson Erickson?
Move that we approve the milk bid from Anderson Erickson.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we are now to approval of MOU with GHAEA.
So this is another Green Hills AEA memorandum of understanding, and just things have really switched with the AEA. So it used to be that flow-through dollars went from us directly to the AEA. Now, 100% of media funds and instructional services funds come to the district. So if we want to purchase any of those funds from the AEA, we have to do that basically in advance with the memorandum of understanding. And just to give you guys a little bit of the cost, so the total funding from Green Hills AEA this year to us was $192,533, and the total costs in this MOU are going to be $130,000. So we will gain $61,000 back because of services that we don't necessarily need from the AEA. We still have the option, if we would need to purchase some of those with that $61,000, but this is a much better deal, I think, for us, especially with a district our size. We don't need everything that the AEA is providing. And then that SBI is a different contract that is budgeted in a different way. And then we will also receive 10% of the special education funding, so that's about $46,000 this year. So we will gain $100,000 back. The $46,000 on special ed funding does have to be spent on special education pieces, but the other, the $61,000 does not. So that's something we can use for other things. So this is just our memorandum of, this is the first time the AEAs have done this.
So it seemed like a couple of years ago, there was a lot of panic
Yeah.
among the public schools about how this was going to all, so do you feel like it all kind of landed in a good spot, at least for our size district?
I do for our size district. For the smaller districts, it hurts them more. I mean, we have instructional coaches and people with a lot of expertise in literacy or math and different things, but tiny little schools don't. And also don't receive the same amount of funding, because the funding you get is based on your student population. So some small districts might only get $10,000 worth of funding. So then what are they going to buy for $10,000?
Do the mega schools benefit
More for
incrementally
less,
more?
yes, yeah. And that was part of the problem with the AEAs, is that the bigger schools, I mean, even when I was in a bigger district, we didn't use very much of this money at all, but it all had to go to the AEAs. So that was one of the arguments that, yeah.
Any other questions on the memorandum of understanding? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just on a side note on that, you talked about the instructional coaches. I did see we wouldn't call it a documentary, but a news thing on TV regarding, I believe it was in Louisiana maybe, where they brought their scores up because, and they're saying it's all because of instructional
Instructional
coaches.
coaches, yeah.
Because of what?
The
Because of instructional coaches
Really?
in their math and science scores have come up in some of these smaller school, school districts our size or smaller, where they brought in instructional coaches or started using that as a
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Thanks, Roger.
Awesome. Next up is approval of the driver's education contract bid.
There isn't a whole lot to
Yeah.
describe here. We put out an RFP, and we do it 2 years because they don't really, on driver's ed, the state doesn't really like you to go 3-year contracts.
Yeah.
Don't know why. But we put it out every 2 years. We put it to a company in Carroll, a company in Atlantic, and to our local company, Drive Safely. Did not get a response from either one of those. Drive Safely came back. Their price is exactly as it's been for the last 2 years. And they've done a great job for us. They do a winter one if they have enough kids. Otherwise, they do it all in the summer. They've been great to work with.
As a district, we just have to offer it. We don't have to necessarily provide it with our own teachers, so we're offering it through, so it's kind of separate.
Yeah,
but-
to give you a little history, because this actually happened way when I started, we used to offer it with our teachers, paid them FICA diapers, the whole 9 yards. And it used to cost probably $10,000 to $15,000 more than contracting it. And now you'll have a hard time finding any schools that don't contract it anymore because of that.
So this is just the
Any other
RFP.
questions on that? All right, can I get a motion to approve the driver's ed contract bid?
So moved?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next up we have policy review schedule first reading. Whole lot of them this month. Catherine.
Yes, sir, sorry.
Holy
To
smokes.
those who are on policy committee. If
I don't
you
even know if I
got
will.
my email, the majority of these are all just taking out gender identity.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
did
so
notice
that's
that.
what,
Yep,
And
so that's
you-
why there's so many. You didn't really have to
Mm-hmm.
look at all the changes.
There were very few changes, actually,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
removing one phrase.
Which one, can you
they
scroll
are
down
trying
Which one that-
to,
through these? Let me see.
was it first reading that?
What do you think of that?
Qualification. Let me go back to my notes.
They are trying to shoot out as many draft changes as possible here because July 1st, there's going to be a lot. So they're sending them out now because we have to get through the first and second reading, but we're trying to get ahead of the game.
There's one regarding goals and objectives of educational programs. Policy on that. Was that in the,
Is that second?
is that in the second reading? I can't remember. Because there are so many of them, I lost track.
Goals and objectives, Roger?
It was a goals and objectives of educational programs.
It is.
So
There we
gender
go.
identity.
Was that in the first or second?
First.
First.
There's the
I guess
gender
my only
identity.
question on that was, are we doing that?
I'm sorry.
I'm just being. And we don't have to, I mean,
Yes.
you can get back to us, so it's a first reading, I was just reading it and like,
Jenny
all right.
said yes.
I mean, it's a good policy, I like the policy, but I was just,
No,
Didn't know if
we'll
we-
get back to you. We will,
That's something
we can
we'll
talk
do,
about
or
it.
not?
I can. Forget. Sorry. I'm printing it.
You're
so I won't-
perfectly fine.
I won't forget. Okay. Any others?
Any other questions?
Any others?
nope. I didn't have anything
Can
else.
you just click back into it, Jenny?
This one?
The one that Roger asked
Yeah.
about? Because it looks like,
Yes.
yeah,
2020?
we haven't reviewed it for a while, it looks like, so that's what I was looking at.
And that's because I was like, well, I don't remember reading this one yet, you know, so it's not like it's an annual one that we're reviewing.
Nope,
so.
nope.
Okay.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the policy review schedule first reading? So moved.
So are we approving it as it is, and then we'll
Yeah.
talk about?
Yeah,
Okay.
we got
Okay.
another reading on it.
Yep,
so.
okay.
Can I get a second on that?
I'm sorry, who so moved? Was that you? Thank you. I'm so sorry.
You're
I'll second.
good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Me.
Okay.
So, do you want to do this? Because then we can bring, he's got information, we've got Josh, if
You,
you want that.
you want to split the readings up?
Go
And
ahead
go-
and do this. and
go back?
He said he's available, so just go ahead and get through and
Get through the second reading and then we'll
Okay,
call.
policy review, second reading. Any questions on second reading? This one was short and sweet.
Yeah, I didn't have, mine was pretty good.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. One
I'm
opposed.
sorry, I was doing this and he usually,
I did. I
first, second, thank you.
Johnny's on third.
So sorry, you guys, thank you.
Okay. And now we are going to return back to approval of issuance number 2, baiting change order number 5.
Well, Mr. President, I move that we take from the table the discussion around the change order number 5.
Okay.
You gotta have a motion to do that.
Do that.
All right.
Second?
If you need it, I'll do a second.
Yep.
No.
Okay. Okay, Brian. You're up.
actually, let's do everything. Travis is headed here, and
Oh,
Josh is going to be on speakerphone, so we'll have both Travis and Josh.
Okay, well, we're,
we just.
Strike that, and let's just keep going.
yeah.
strike that.
Now where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Back on the table.
Not under the table.
Withdraw your.
So
I did realize
So,
that
Jenna?
we can,
Travis is on his way.
consent agenda, we could do a consent
We
agenda.
can retable that.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
We would have-
Retable, or can we just
I'll
strike
withdraw
it?
my motion.
Yes.
okay.
Withdraw your,
Withdraw.
yeah, there we go, that's pretty good.
No,
Then we'll just go
second,
right
so
to the consent agenda.
Never happened.
Okay. Consent agenda. Anything you want me to pull up specifically? Did anybody have? Anything here?
Catherine?
Did he say no to the second reading?
Yes.
Anything in the P card, financial reports?
Just my
I didn't really
standards, but you know, we
see
bought
anything.
cars locally, so I'm pretty happy right
I
now.
know,
Won't
and
complain
we're
too
working
much.
on it. I have it. I keep trying. I keep
I know.
trying. It's on our agenda again Wednesday.
Just try to know where we're at.
He was over at the,
It's not always feasible, I understand.
Well, I know, but I think they did say even like,
not those.
where do you guys buy your food? Like for boosters, do you get it like at Fairway and?
A lot of it comes from Fairway, like all of the buns. Our meat, our hamburgers, we were getting from the early locker.
Oh,
That may be a
Still
no
local.
longer thing. I don't know.
oh,
Otherwise,
like candy and things, do you?
I think the same.
Yeah, that's, but,
I'm not on the purchasing portion of it, but
okay,
I think they do a lot.
yeah.
Our pretzels, I know, come from Sam's Club.
So one of the things we thought was, because someone had mentioned before that they used to order from like Fairway or Hy-Vee, the candy even, so we'll have to see if there's a way to do that.
Just speaking from history, I was on the Booster Club for 18 years. There are certain things you can't get, like the pretzels and stuff, you can't get them here.
No, right.
But we always had very good working relationship with the
Yeah.
local stores.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah, so
did.
we gotta keep pushing it.
We'll just have to remind everybody again.
I'm sorry.
Stand-
Beyond that, you know, public art, newspaper office has supplies, we have other
Yeah.
things we can
Yeah.
shop at and do too.
Yeah,
you know, we can just-
yeah, this is crazy.
I know, it's very easy to point the finger.
Improve them.
I'm really
It
thinking
is.
of that.
I
The
know.
one other thing, you will see there's a lot of travel on the P-card. This is a month every year. We have a month where BPA and fine arts and you name it, this is always a high travel. But essentially, a lot of what you're dealing with is the activity
Jazz band.
funds, and they're raising their funds to do it, so.
Okay, good. Let's do that, wait till that. Wait a second.
Yeah,
pretty
that
impressive.
was very good. Look at that.
Yeah. Sorry, that's off topic.
No, it was very good, yes. Do you just want to call Josh and start the conversation?
Well, Travis
gotta
is
approve
coming.
this.
Oh, we
Yeah,
gotta
we
do
were-
this.
We're
first.
We're working with
Okay,
it. Can we
sorry.
get a motion to approve the consent agenda then?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we are now,
Well, Mr. President, I move that we take the batting change order number 5 discussion from the table.
Okay,
can I get a second on that?
I'll second it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Now we're back to
Okay,
discussing
so-
approval of issuance number 2.
our questions
Adding or
are, Jim,
abating?
the square
Adding or
footage of the
abating?
concrete that's being poured, correct? Okay. And then the labor costs, right, Pete? Just to discuss the labor costs and the square footage?
Right, and you know, I think the construction manager should know, when you have a change order, you know, it implies you've changed something. So you should be able to say, this is what was in the bid and in the cost, and this is the change, and this is the new amount. I mean, it's just protocol for a change order. And I just see sloppiness in change orders, and I think they could
Thanks
do
for
better
coming in.
on change orders. So they make sense, and we can walk up and say, yeah. this is-
Wherever you like, just pull up a chair over here.
I'm not questioning the, the cost necessarily or the need of it, it's just,
Careful, because they're rocking chairs.
not explained
More
well.
details.
More detail.
Yep. So Travis, on the change order, we understand that the drinking fountain, like things aren't draining where they're supposed to be draining, correct?
Yep.
And initially it was a 2-foot strip and now it's gonna be a lot more. So one of the questions is, just, can you talk about the labor cost? Is one of the pieces. And then the second question was, what is the square footage of?
Yes, sir.
You're on speaker, FYI.
Okay.
We're talking through this, but.
Oh, do you want me to start over?
Oh, you're okay. No, go ahead.
So the square footage of the concrete that's
Yep.
for the change order, and then just the labor cost in general,
Yes.
because
So,
it's more than, I mean, 50%.
I don't know square footage, off the top of my head. It probably tripled, what was supposed to happen. And they did a little sample area in the area that was supposed to be demoed, and that was thicker than what was expected, which probably added to that cost. Other than that, I mean, it was just a better route. So the way the trench drains were before, which was going off of what was where the drain was before, so you had the 2 showers. The trench drain was gonna be in line with where the showers were. These showers, the new ones go on each side, so everything would be draining back, which would kind of, not ideal because you're washing off and everything's kind of going back behind your feet, running down by your feet. Aside from that, the way it was already sloped, to get those trench drains in, you'd have kind of steep, I mean, to make it work, you're gonna have some steep at the, not so much front and back, but side to side. It's gonna get pretty steep in there. So that was part of it, so just a better route to move them up. And then as well, part of that was to tie in, so the drinking fountains, 2 of them drain directly into the shower, which is not up to code, because you're gonna have spit, whatever else, and say somebody's showering at the same time, that's just going right onto their feet. So that also helped us be able to tie that in underground. That's kind of gist of it. Josh, you have anything to add?
It is in all 3 lots.
Travis, yes, so this is Josh, I am the superintendent of your high school job. So Travis did a very good job of explaining all of that to you, and I want to kind of reiterate the fact that, number one, we did have those drinking fountains in there, and we did have your local jurisdiction come over. We had to direct drain them instead of an indirect waste into the shower cavity. Number 2, like Travis had stated, so the way that it was designed is the trench drain was going to be at the back of the partitions. What we're going to do is to incorporate the indirect waste that you currently had. You're now going to have a direct waste for the water fountains that are in the locker room. And we're going to direct drain those, and we're going to slope the cavity towards the drains, towards your shower valves. So what we did come across is it wasn't 4 inches thick. It's actually 2 inches of gypcrete and then 4 inches of normal concrete. So the demo took quite a bit more that, it was an unforeseen item. So that's kind of where this cost is coming into play. And I talked to Casey about it, and also Anthony, and they want the locker rooms to be the most appealing thing. That was kind of the thought process, so we discussed it with them, and that's kind of the route that they wanted to go as well.
Is this only in the boys' locker? All three?
Well, that makes a big difference.
It's a big difference.
This is
That's
gonna be
only
all
4,000
three, so
per
the-
locker room. That's not,
The locker rooms originally had a pedestal shower, and the whole floor, it sloped directly to them, and then to discuss what Travis also mentioned, so if we were to put those drains in what was shown, you would have had a concrete cut, and then you would have these trench drains that were installed. However, due to this existing slope, you would have had a really drastic slope at the ends, and I mean, we couldn't have that due to ADA. So this is kind of the route we went, along with being more appealing for the students, let alone the indirect waste problem with the water coolers that are in the, I mean, it's an existing condition. So this ties everything together, and I guess it was better for the district.
So this is basically, you're putting in sanitary sewer, cutting additional concrete to put in sanitary sewer?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then you'll pour the concrete back so you get slope to the drains?
Yep.
Okay. And is this, these are shower stalls? Are they 3x3 or 4x4 or something like that?
There's, I'd have to look at the exact sizes. Josh, do you know? There's one 80, basically you have an ADA one.
There's gonna be an ADA
And
stall
then
in
two
each one,
next to it.
which is incorporated with a bench. I don't know the sizes offhand, but yes, you have partitions in each shower cavity this time, in all three locker rooms.
Yeah. And so, I think Brian was saying this is in the boys and girls locker room, so it's
It's in all three.
what's the third one?
There's two boys.
There's
and
two
girls.
In the middle one,
Yeah.
actually.
I see.
Doesn't get used all the time.
So that's
So it's
my
actually
bad.
9 stalls that this affects?
It's
no.
12.
Yes, yes.
More
Isn't
than
there
that.
6 per, there's 6 per,
There's actually more
So-
than that.
It's
So
18, or no? 15?
you would have.
The wrestling room was
in
a
the
little
middle
smaller. You
one,
might not have as
You're
many
only
stalls.
gonna have, I believe it's 3 or 4. However, in the boys and the girls, you have shower stalls on each side. So the way that the slope was designed originally, you had the pedestal showers. It's really hard to incorporate new trench drains in the slope that you had because basically the concrete, it sloped from the middle and from each edge, and it all went to that drain. Well, to do it the right way, I guess, you want your floor to slope obviously to the drain, and it was very hard to incorporate that existing concrete into the new design.
You bet. So originally, these were like a foot or so trenches that were going to be cut through the concrete. Now you're taking out a big slab of concrete so that you can get all this accomplished? Is that the idea?
Yeah, they're gonna be about 2 foot in width. And then we added like 3 foot, 3 foot, 3 foot, to go through the middle and then the 2 sides.
see.
So
they're
For
much
each one.
bigger trenches.
Yeah,
It's
just
not
the
that you're
whole-
taking out
the
a 10 by
entire
10 or
floor.
anything.
It took out.
Excuse me?
It took out the entire floor of the shower.
Oh, they did take out the entire floor.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and the reason for taking out the entire floor, so if we were to just leave like a, and I'm just guessing here, but like a 4-foot swath through the middle, it was actually gonna be more, kind of a bigger ordeal, because you would have to tie the existing concrete into the new concrete and try and match that grade. So it wasn't really worth keeping that 4-foot swath in the middle. It's actually cheaper to just get rid of all of it and then they can do what they need to do. So,
Could you just give an estimate? Is it the area in total 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 or just any idea?
if
Right
I
about-
was to
550
Yes,
square
on-
feet based off.
What does
say,
cost,
550 square
roughly.
foot?
If
If
it's
I was to
$250
guess on the
square.
shower cavities without looking at a print, I would say
10 by 20?
50, yeah, 10 by 20 times 2, and then,
400 plus yours.
well, actually, it'd almost be times 3.
Yeah,
Where did you see the square footage?
I did none mapping out the concrete.
What's that?
The concrete that they bid, cost of concrete.
Oh, you're figuring it out,
I'm
yeah,
mapping it
cubic
out.
feet, I
Yep.
see.
By cubic
Have a
yard.
5-foot
So you're right at 500 square foot.
A little over, yeah.
About 5 to 550 square feet.
550 is what?
Yeah, $5 a square foot. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad, yeah.
You know, I don't have any objection to this. It doesn't seem unreasonable. Yet I'd like to ask the construction manager that when you bring in a change order, there should be a little more description. You should say, well, the bid was, whatever, 5,000, and now we're going to do this, and it's going to be 15,000, and say the specific area. I mean, that's just pretty standard protocol for a change order, but I don't want to be one that holds us up necessarily. It doesn't seem unreasonable, but your explanation's been really good, Travis. Thank you.
What you were saying, sir, what I was doing is trying to give you guys the best bang for your buck, and that means, utilization of the locker rooms, what you had, what was drawn, and due to the existing condition, meaning the locker rooms with the electric water coolers, trying to, because we can't have it, hold on.
Who's this talking?
It's his Josh.
You said children involved.
No, it's Cyrus.
Oh, sorry.
6 o'clock.
Is he with the
Basically, when I talk to Casey and Anthony, we want to make the locker rooms the most appealing thing, because the whole intent of that is for the kids to actually utilize them. So, with having Roger Bison come out and we discussed this existing condition, we had kind of it was kind of grandfathered in, but it's not, because you can't have an electric water cooler drain on kids' feet. And so this was the way of incorporating that to a direct waste and I guess getting it the way that it should be.
Thanks for your explanation, Josh. That makes sense.
Yep.
Thanks,
Okay.
Josh.
Thanks,
Yep,
Josh.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis. Yeah.
Any other questions before we leave?
Stay here just a minute.
4.5 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, if we have no further questions, can I get a motion to approve issuance number 2, baiting change order number 5?
So moved.
Ooh, I think she got you by a hair.
Jen.
By a hair.
And then
Second.
Roger.
I'll
Okay,
second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, what are they?
All right, and we are at a crossroads.
Jade is not here.
Jade's not here. We are at adjournment.
And we're going to be here until next week.
I'm not sure any of us know what to do.
What's our phone number?
I'm afraid of it. I'll move to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.